So they're here because they have the opportunity to meet someone who's worked on the world stage, mediating between groups of people that go to war and trying to understand why that happens. I tell them all the time that their generation is going to be the one that has to solve this problem, because our generations, no matter how hard we try to teach our children to be good people, to understand, to not fight, we can't help it. We just go to war.
I want to know, why do you believe that people go to war?
Wow. First of all, I'm so happy to be here with young people. I love young people. I think that's our future, new civilization coming, and I'll be long gone, and hopefully they will pay attention to human psychology, because nowadays you got all these little things, you push buttons, and there's globalization, and everything is so fast. But human nature doesn't change much. So you're answering to your question. Allow me, I don't have one sentence to answer you. When a lion gets hungry, who does she kill or he kill? You know, do they kill another lion? They go and kill a deer or something like that. Only chimpanzees do, like human beings, kind of wars. So the idea is that something happened even during the evolution of our minds. That I'm old, but not the beginning of human development. I think we developed like little neighbors, and we fought for women, food, and so on. And as our minds got better, we put emotions in it, our honor, our prestige, and so on and so on. And during this time, we also learn how to kill the other in order to keep our group fed, or later on more powerful, more honorable, more exceptional.
So, are you saying it's human's nature to fight and have war?
It is part of human nature, yes. But the idea is that as we human beings have fought. If you read history books, don't you?
Yeah.
Was there any time that they did not have wars? No.
They do have wars.
Always they had wars. So I'm not suggesting that to make you pessimistic. The whole idea is, somewhere I wrote, and I was telling one of you, if you talk, you don't kill. You see, if I'm talking to you, and I mean, never mind I'm talking to you with love or with hate, but excitedly I'm talking to you, I don't want to lose you. I'll be lonely. But if I don't talk, then worse things can happen.
If you think about it,
Yeah.
you kill and then you don't talk, but then you talk and then you don't kill.
So, are you saying if humans would talk to each other or be more close to each other, then wars are less likely to start?
I didn't say be close to each other. I said talk to each other. Let's say that your large group and my large group have been fighting for years and so on. So representatives of your large group and my large group get together, and I'm talking about the only type that I know of. There's a third party, neutral party, that's helping them to talk, okay? Now, what happened in the world since we started paying attention to this, they have conflict resolution centers everywhere. You finish psychological graduation and you open conflict resolution thing. In our days, it was forbidden to say we resolve conflicts. You don't resolve conflicts. Conflicts are part of human nature. So my team never did conflict resolution. We only never gave advice to these people. We only helped them to talk. Okay. And the other mistake is this. It's coming to your being close business. In order to stop wars, don't force fighting people to be close and be lovey-dovey. That's crazy. If you and, let's say, you are fighting so long, and I come and say to you, oh, be lovey-dovey, doesn't work. So we learn a great deal about the psychology of borders. You have to keep the border. Mm-hmm. There are two principles that you don't change if you're going to make peace. Mm-hmm. That is one, love shall not be exactly the same as your enemy. Then you lose your identity. Okay. And have a psychological border between you two so that you can talk, but you keep your identity, But you don't have to like each other all the way and be lovey-dovey. So thank you for saying that so I can tell you this. You're laughing. Something came to your mind.
Well, I think like war happens because like people want power, like they want to change something, so they like try to take over to change it in their way. So that's what I think.
Okay, what you say in a general way is correct, obviously. Let me just make an analogy so that it may be easier for us to play with it, okay? Let's say that there is the A group and B group, and they're neighbors. You see, the psychology of war is the psychology of neighbors. And now is globalization, everybody's a neighbor. You imagine two huge tents, and under each tent, different ethnic groups or racial groups or ideological groups live. Each tent has different symbols of their large group. Can you imagine that? You paint on it. Like if something horrible happened to your ancestors, you don't forget that because it's hard to mourn when somebody does something to you real bad for years and years. And if even they stop doing it, that is your ancestors' history. That belongs to you. You paint that. Mostly historical things, cultural things, religious things. And the other guys have different things that they paint. Okay? So two tents stand side by side. And what keeps the tents straight up?
People.
Pole. Okay. Who's the pole in United States right now? Of course, we also have leaders and so on. So leader hold this tent, and of course in America is more democratic than maybe a dictator and so on. And so he or she, his personality plays a role. Whatever propaganda comes from there makes this paintings change and so on. Or you one people under one tent, they feel like they want to feel superior or something or angry for something. They take mud and throw at the other one. See? So there are all kind of processes, especially when tents shake, meaning in plain English, a situation occurs and they say, who are we now? Who are we now? When the tent shakes, and then you want to throw unwanted things onto the other one. And you shake your tent, and then wars occur.
What's the difference between having a group identity where you have your own ethnic group and then you have your own different cultures, you have your own different beliefs, but then where's your own identity? What's the difference?
Wonderful. Under certain circumstances, you function under large group psychology. For example, terrorists.
Yeah.
You, as an individual psychology, it may be impossible for you to be a terrorist, okay? But let's see, you are humiliated, your parents killed in front of you, or because of your own development, you had certain kind of cracks in your individual identity. I take you, I go around and I say, that's a good candidate. I come and in the past, that's what they used to do. Put you in school, I tell you you should not have any sexual thoughts. I tell you, read this thing again and again, these religious passages. I tell you that when you die, you will meet mates after you die, and I make pictures of you like football heroes or basketball heroes. And in fact, when you commit suicide and blow up something, there's a wedding ceremony. You see? So that I make you an object of your large group instead of you do individually. And as the tent shakes, I don't even need to teach you these things, because some people, for their own reasons, who have cracks in their own identity, they pull down the canvas of this ethnic tent and they wear it. So they function under large group psychology. Under large group psychology, the number one thing is you do whatever you want to do to bring attention to your large group identity and protect it and maintain it. See, it is not individual identity. So there are many people who pull down large group identity. Not all of them become terrorists. So the issue is when you bring enemy representatives together, even big shots like generals and all this stuff, they become right away under the influence of their large group psychology. So in official getting together, they have rules and regulations and they are really assigned to their large group. Unofficially, we would bring them together and give them individual identities so they could have much realistic discussions. So we were using psychology to make more realistic discussions.
In your own opinion, what's the difference between basic trust and blind trust?
Let me explain to you basic trust. Imagine yourself as a 2-year-old kid, and your father puts you on the mantle and stands in front of you and says to you, "My little girl, jump, I'll hold you." And you trust your father and you jump and he holds you. You develop basic trust. You trust your daddy so you know how to trust yourself. But your daddy says to you, "Jump," and you jump and you fall. And he says to you, "Ha ha, see, don't trust everybody. I taught you something." You don't learn how to have basic trust. As you trust people who care for you, then you know you love yourself and you trust yourself. And in large groups in nations too, leaders, if they explain and honest, then you trust them and you say, "I'll go along with my group," and so on. But some of the leaders do like the daddy who doesn't hold you. Then basic trust gets lost in the country, and country becomes very, very fragmented. And this happened. September 11 is a symbol of the turning point that basic trust has been lost in the whole world. For example, if I'm going to fly to Washington, I have to go through all this. I mean, when I was your age, my friend would come all the way with me to the airplane and then say goodbye to me at the airplane and leave the airplane. See, basic trust has been lost, and that is the also new civilization.
As we are like the new generation, how could we prevent future wars?
Yes. We are entering into, whether you are not aware of it, but I'm aware of it, you're entering into brand new civilization, which I will not really know. What is it? it has two aspects of it. One is the incredible technology. Everything is push button. I heard the other day that if I order a book, a little plane will come and drop the book. I mean, I'll be dead by that time it happens, but it may happen. I mean, I cannot even imagine the technology. That's one thing. So it's changing human nature, communication. That's one thing. The other one is called globalization, economically. Who runs the world now? Of course, still we have nations and presidents and so on, and ambassadors. Come on, who needs ambassador? Let's say I'm the president, you're the president, I pick up the phone, push a button and talk to you, leader to leader. Why do I need ambassadors? You know what I mean? But we have not caught up with the human nature, because human nature cannot be push button. And that has been the biggest problem we are facing. So if you're going to be useful, tell people, hey, technology changed us, globalization changed that, but we are still human beings. We have all these emotions, we have all Venus, theyness, whatever you did, and let's pay attention to it. Diplomacy will change. Sometimes in certain places, especially after terrorism, official diplomacy useless. When two countries are combined economically with big, giant economic power, who's controlling the relationship? So what I'm telling you, young people, while you are getting into this new civilization, don't forget human nature.
Earlier you stated that all basic trust in the world was lost after September 11th.
Yes.
But do you think that trust could be regained
Yes.
throughout the years?
Yes. We need a leader, and sometimes we do have a leader, but we need to give supply environment enough support for leaders to support that for us with different kind of world perception. But politics are very difficult, because politics means you have to do all kinds of things to stay in power. And big things happen. There's so-called Arab Spring and revolutions and so on. However, after revolutions, there are two kinds of revolutions. One is you do revolution and you go to new things. What happened, in fact, that even there were people like that in the Arab Spring, when revolutions occurred, they wanted to go to familiar things. Familiar things is regress. They went back, picked up what was from the past, and look what happened, for example, in Egypt. Became the ones who went back and ones wanted to go forward, but both sides are aggressive. There was an article in New York Times the other day saying, oh, Morsi was elected as a democratic person, and now military came and but they lost democracy. Yeah, that's not true. It's one-sided. The revolution also brought regression, and army trying to make progression, but they cannot do it without aggression, so both sides are in a mess. So we also need to understand what happens after revolutions. Not each revolution is good. Some brings more problems.
So you're saying to get them talk as like getting different people that has issues with each other to talk to each other?
I'm talking about individually, or
no,
the big worldwide?
Like, yeah, worldwide.
Yes.
But wouldn't you think that'd be like a bad idea? What happens if we get violent, and what happens if things be said that can't be taken back? So wouldn't you think that'd be a bad idea?
Oh, I mean, I tell nasty things about you and I don't ask for your forgiveness?
Like stuff like that.
Yes, of course it will happen. All those complications will happen. But it's still, you will find some people in those large groups that will be able to talk.
So you think there will always be a resolution if you do that?
Taming.
Um,
Resolution takes place as a process. When you tame it, and then new leaders come, new things happen.
I hope for like the world to be, or the new generation to be more peaceful than it is now, because everything's changing and there's a lot more violence, I believe. So, like when we were growing up, we always would play outside. We will actually communicate with each other, but now it's like everybody's on their phones. They don't really want to talk anymore.
Well, the thing about technology is that, how do I put this in perspective? It's a very complicated relationship, okay? So technology can benefit us in terms of being connected, but if we're like talking about someone behind their back, it can kind of take things out of context that we wouldn't really mean, and that leads to more problems happening. So it can go either way. It could be positive or it could be negative, but it depends on how you deal with it. It's better, honestly, for me. Technology is good, but it's better for you to talk to your friends about your feelings about certain situations, because otherwise they might take things out of context and, you know, it's not good. You know, it spreads a lot of rumors.
I agree with Kieran on one hand, but on the other hand, I don't, because like you said, if you don't like the person and you talk face to face, a lot of stuff may happen that shouldn't happen. So it's like you should talk to them face to face to get your feelings out, but then you should also watch what you say while you're talking to them.
I like to agree with Cheyenne with that statement, but one thing I would like to add on to is that, like, if you're talking to them and like you say you don't like them or they don't like you, whoever, then you have to be like, one of you have to be the mature person to be like, okay, I get it, you don't like me, whoever, but I don't want to have issues or problems, and try to find a resolution.
But I don't think that would happen, because no one's going to be mature enough to try to stop the conflict if they feel wronged by that person, or they're both on opposite sides, so they're just going to keep fighting.
And that's how war happens, and that's how fights, things can break out.
Because people don't know how to communicate.
That's the problem.
I think that we can just like vocally speak out about these issues and campaign things and stuff like that.
I think like we can spread it around, you know, make it so like people know about it more.
Oh, okay. Like Caleb was saying, to speak out, and we should also bring it to squash and have everybody try to get along, even if you don't really like each other. Like, try to be cordial and not have any conflicts in squash. You could try to be like the mediator of stuff, try to make everybody speak and get their problems out.
What I'm gonna take out of this is that if I have an issue or a problem with someone, I'll try to speak verbally with them, and I'll try to like tell people that it's better to talk about your problem before reacting, and yeah, because stuff like that cause real problems and people wind up getting hurt.
What I'm thinking is that, like, why don't we just instead of we actually keep arguing with each other, why can't we actually understand people? Why don't we take empathy? Why don't we put ourselves in people's shoes before we stop arguing? I guess this is like basically like the point of this, right? It's basically to find other people's perspective. So why don't we start doing that first, and then later that could be like the first couple like initial steps for peace. I mean, that's what I think.